Well, good morning. They thought it would be fun, interesting, different to start a new series without even having a good idea of what the topic or title should be. Just wanting to spend time exploring this way of being where we don't need to know exactly what's happening. I mean, I think a lot of people are quite confused today, being that we are in this evolutionary thrust, this accelerating period of time where it would be understandable that many people would be confused, perhaps afraid, angry at what appears to be loss, losing certain freedoms. So I think it would be lovely to explore this, again, this place of not knowing and how we move forward without having clear answers, okay, to live in the question, as it were. So perhaps that would be today's title. How do we live in the question? How do we still stay committed, devoted to our practice when maybe the bigger picture looks rather cloudy or out of focus? So it's very, very valuable. It's this would be, again, part of this process that I call conscious dying, that we become willing to let go of the egoic, rational mind's need to understand. So yeah, that seems to be a worthwhile endeavor to explore this void, this space between what was known and what will be known. Now, some of us, what I represent is an awareness of what is coming, what is evolving, what is our new earth, what is our new species. So it's easy to discuss that, but it seems valuable to talk about this empty space that arises as you individually and we collectively let go of old structures that seemed to hold everything together. Okay, those structures, whether they're economic or political or philosophical, the shift that we're making requires a very big leap of faith. So I ask you, those of you who are interested in following my short video series, I think it's very important that we learn to hang out with each other, just again, simply as a way of building a family, building a community. And again, learning how to spend time without a particular format. Form a particular lesson plan, okay? Because again, where we're heading, there's no guidebook, there's no lesson plan, no one's written it. We are called to write it as we go. So how do we do that? How do we hang out in this place of not knowing And again, I would say that this is exactly the way in which we build faith or trust. So, my hope is for you is that you come to see, without, again, understanding exactly what's going on, that you come to observe, witness, experience your world in a way that you can have appreciation or gratitude for what is happening. All of us are spending more time. I just learned a couple of days ago about someone that I knew personally for a while, a pastry chef that worked with me a few years back. She just passed. And our construction crew, they just lost their father 2 days ago. And so whether it's COVID or not, again, isn't really the point. The point is that all of us, especially those of us that are in our tercero edad, our third life, it's going to be more and more and more common for us to experience the transition of those we know and care about. And so again, this is part of my Conscious Dying program is literally to support, guide, and support others through their transition. So, whether you're dropping your body or whether you're shifting into a new earth, either way, it's a death and a rebirth. It's a transformation, because a new earth will have very little in common with the old forms. Okay, we're literally creating a condition that many would call heaven on earth, right? So more or less we need to start from ground zero. Okay, we're not bringing our baggage. Imagine moving to a very strange foreign country, right? And you're wondering, well, gosh, what's the weather like there? What do I bring? What kind of clothes do I need? What kind of personal items should I have that I don't want to be without? Well, just imagine that maybe you're on a ship or on an airplane or whatever, and there's a crash, and whatever you bring with you, you lose it all. Okay, so basically, okay, imagine, we all seen stories and a shipwreck, and you float up on this deserted island and you have nothing. So that's just sort of like a metaphor for this idea of like, what do you carry from the old world into a new earth? Really nothing. So that'll be interesting. I think this is taking shape in my mind, that it's really great to address this idea of the wilderness, stepping into the wilderness, stepping into something that there's very little known about it. Yeah, I think that's a good way to go. So, so conscious dying is really part of this theme, being willing to let go of any preconceived notions about what is coming. Again, it's easier to understand if you're on the track that most of the tribal and probably a great percentage of the egoic people are, heading for extermination. That's actually an easier thing to contemplate. We're all going to die, dropping our body dying. But this other type of death, conscious dying, to let go of our attachment to old forms and move into something new, that's a little different. This is again what Eckhart Tolle talked about, the idea of dying without hurting the body, without damaging the body, without losing the body. So how do we as bodies, as persons, adopt, again, our new consciousness, Homo spiritus, Homo glimilis? How do we make space to adopt that? How do we integrate that? Because that's going to be key. Integrating. We still have our tribal consciousness that we carry with us from our ancestors and from our own karmic journey. And we still have, obviously, our egoic consciousness, which we need to take care of the body and the person. But how do we integrate now this new consciousness that is so much more expansive, so much more powerful? How do the three of them operate on friendly terms? When they're in many ways radically contradictory to each other. So that's I see that's a good place to go. So I'll come up with the actual topic and title for this new series, but it's, how do we make a friendly alliance out of our tribal, our egoic, and our spiritual mind? I like it. Okay, so that's where we're heading together over these next number of todays together. It's fun for me always. I enjoy it. So I appreciate your patience and willingness to flow with me as we evolve together. Blessings to you. Have a beautiful day. I love you.